With Sabrina defeated, we only have one gym leader left, Giovanni. You may notice that I've changed my name back to normal. Kinda. I had to put in a bunch of spaces after Met, or else I would have ended up with Metsies. Couldn't really find a way to better remedy the problem, but hey, we got missing though out of it, so I shouldn't complain. Giovanni's gym is all the way in Viridian. To do that, we need to go all the way back through Cerulean City and Pewter. And on the way, we can... On the way there, I'll show off what I consider to be the last interesting glitches / Pokegods you can encounter in Pokemon Blue and Red. These dudes can affect not only your graphics, but the team itself, like a virus. One of them can transform Pokemon into clones of themselves if they're found as the same PC box as it. Sounds interesting, right? We're gonna look for these monsters west of Cerulean, not in the cave, but at that semi-large grass patch where most Pokemon would train for the Nugget Bridge in a normal playthrough. Wow, Cue Ball. It's not supposed to show up. Oh, I don't know why I was Oh, that was quite the knock on the head. Coincidentally, everything looks quite updated and advanced, and in color again. Let me take this opportunity to say welcome to the second and last special update of Let's Horribly Break Pokemon Blue, 2nd Gen. Due to the continuous success of Pokemon, it's no wonder that Game Freak was able to up the ante a bit on their bug testing. As a matter of fact, they even have fail-safes to make sure things don't get too out of whack in case something that isn't supposed to happen, happens. I can think of at least one that can be showed off, and coincidentally, it was the first thing I planned to try out when booting up the game, getting into a battle with no Pokemon. I walked through the tree west of New Bark. Doing so won't have anyone stop you. Get into the grass and going into a battle brings up a white flash and then nothing? That's right, when you're trying to battle with no Pokemon, the game won't let you battle. It'll be programmed to say you automatically win and you're thrown back into the overworld. There's no glitch Pokemon nor game resetting, you just win. It's kinda like Earthbound, when you get so powerful that you can fight weak enemies and automatically get experience. To further show this off, let's try battling with a trainer. You can get a better view of what happens here. Even during the overworld fight scene between this kid and Joey's Rattata, he will gladly stop mid-fight to battle you. Except since you don't have Pokemon, you just automatically win after the little pixelation effect. You don't get any of the benefits either, such as reward money. It's pretty dull, but it's not like Game Freak was gonna let a new game get all confused from a strange encounter after the shitstorm that happened in 1st Gen. Also, in case you were wondering, impressive. What isn't impressive is that this is just a recolored Rhydon sprite. B+ for Game Freak. Now, one interesting thing you can do with Walkthrough Wall Dickery is getting the Pokedex before your first Pokemon. As a matter of fact, as I was playing, I kinda began to improvise and thought, what if you fought your rival without picking your starter? Not only is it possible, but it's simple and easy to do with the powers at hand. So began a short quest of what-if questions. First of all, what if you got your Pokedex before getting a Pokemon? This is possible if you skip the intro sequence and go straight into Mr. Pokemon's house, which is located north of the second town not too far away. Coincidentally, Oak is there, and he hands you a Pokedex simply because you have a Pokemon. Except I don't have one. If you try to open up the Pokedex at this point, it won't. Going to Violet City, the 3rd town, you get a call from your mom whining about how you don't tell her you're going on an adventure, despite the fact that you haven't even talked to Elm, who calls you after you get the Pokedex, whether or not you get your starter. Between Violet City and the route leading up to it is a gatehouse. In case you don't know, these are the buildings that separated Saffron City from all 4 sides in Gen 1. You can go inside and through them willy-nilly if you want, but skipping them completely brings out interesting results. By skipping through gatehouses, a significant number of sprites change into your character. Not just human NPCs either. You can see that there's a Sudowoodo being turned into a green gold. North of this area is Ecruteak City. which normally you can't access until you get 3 badges, but skipping through the Sudowoodo allows you to get there no problem. In there is a Pokemon Center where you meet someone special. Gen 2 is what I think gave Bill his creepy nerd persona. However, he's very important in 2 aspects. One is that he builds a time machine in this game. This time machine is a trade system that allows you to trade Pokemon back and forth from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and vice versa. Of course, you can't trade any Gen 2 Pokemon or moves to Gen 1. If I can ever get a certain emulator to work correctly, we may be able to experiment with this. Until then, we'll leave it alone for now. Secondly, after installing the time machines, Bill goes back to his house in Goldenrod City, the obligatory big city Pokemon area of Gen 2. We want to visit him there. If you enter Goldenrod City by skipping the gatehouse, the golden tiles end up being replaced with this funky set. It's definitely a rad trail new look for the developing city. Hell, I probably should have messed around with all the gatehouses in this game. This stuff is neat. And this is what gave people the crazy ideas. Not only does Bill have you take care of a Pokemon because he's a nerd and doesn't like to go outside, but the Pokemon is an Eevee of all things, further pushing this Pokefreak narrative. By the way, if you guys expand on this, I will close these comments immediately. Anyway, with this Eevee, we now have a Pokemon that isn't a starter as our first Pokemon, which is cool, I guess. The main thing nagging at my head at this point is what Pokemon your rival will have, as getting a Pokedex will make a certain spot in the game a fighting spot where you're forced to face your rival on the way back to your hometown. Fighting him with no starters makes him fight with a Totodile. I guess that's the canon matchup? Ugh, not really, you're boring. I expected something interesting. Let's go do something more interesting. Let's explore the unfilled hexadecimals in this game, aka encounter the very little Pokegods that are present. So, since Gen 2 has 251 Pokemon, Game Freak had a bit of an easier job in keeping the Pokegod glitches in check. There are only 4 unfilled hex slots, 251 out of 255. Actually, that's a lie. There's only 3 unfilled ones, as one of them is filled by a special Pokemon, and that's the Pokemon Egg, which occupies the hexadecimal FD, aka number 253. In Pokemon games, egg data have their own entry in the same area as other Pokemon. When indicating a Pokemon species, there are 2 values that determine one when in a trainer's party. The first value indicates how the stats will grow and what its battle sprite will be. The second value decides what sprite will show in the Pokemon main menu screen. But if the Pokemon isn't an egg, this value will be 253, an egg. Of course, to see this in action, we need to actually catch the egg. With the use of the Game Shark, the egg is easily caught with the Master Up. Well, this is where things start to go off the rails. Pardon me everyone, but I'm about to break the 4th wall for the longest and hopefully last time. The game is not supposed to reset after viewing the egg's Pokedex entry. In fact, this thing is meant to be pretty benign until you send it out into battle. At that point, the game resets with an altered palette. Of course, I couldn't even get the palette right. Not at this point, at least. This one cuts off half my screen with white, and the rest looks like I'm viewing it through 3D glasses. This egg is just the appetizer, though. We'll get back to it. For now, we have bigger fish to fry. The 3 other Pokegods of Gen 2. 5 question mark. They all look practically identical, so it's really only like one god, but whatever. You're supposed to be able to battle, catch, defeat, and run from the sky like normal. Only after fainting it does stuff go wrong. For me, however... I tried everything I could think of. different Game Shark codes, different routes, changing the time, turning off codes during battle. I even tried using Pokemon Silver. Nothing but constant waiting. I tried looking this guy up to see if anyone else has had this problem before and came up dry. The only lead I could find was on the Glitch City website, where there's a disclaimer saying that 5 question marks is volatile and unpredictable. Yeah, I'll say. As far as I'm aware, this is some sort of strange one-of-a-kind edge case where 5 question marks just doesn't fucking work. This is a bigger problem than you'd expect too, because defeating 5 question marks on certain routes grants you access to this generation's Glitch City, which is probably the most flashy thing regarding glitches the Gen 2 games have to offer, but now, can't even show you it. It's not all bad though. I eventually managed to catch Egg and trigger the proper palette swap glitch. Here's a look at it. I think it looks pretty cool. The best part though is what it does with Ho-Oh. Through coincidence, it gets colored in. I wondered if we could get the same result with Lugia, but his sprite didn't change at all sadly. Speaking of Pokemon Silver, in that game I attempted many of the same methods to catch 5 question marks as I mentioned earlier. All to no avail of course, but I did end up hacking him into my party by placing him over a Pidgey. Doing so came with strings. Every single random encounter now is against some glitch named Thomas. My headcanon is that Thomas is the guardian of 5 question marks, and will attempt to stop anyone who tries to use it by crashing their game in a Pokemon battle. There are a few other glitch trainers too, like Rapidash Karen. I couldn't find Slowpoke Lance though, as if my day couldn't get any worse. So yeah, my Johto journey has been a bit of a bust. There's still one more thing I can show off though, so let's cut back to the Pokemon Center and figure out what it is. You can actually do this glitch without using a Game Shark, but I'm going to take a bit of a shortcut to expedite the process and hack in the Pokemon we need for the experiment, Sneasel. Nickname Sneasel this, but not after you catch it. Nickname it via the name raider. It's fickle, but if you don't do it like this, the glitch won't work. Make sure to put in those 5 C's too. Can you guess what we're going to get? Now here is where I hope you have a bunch of rare candies or something like that stocked, because you want to level up this guy, or gal, all the way up to level 57, where it will learn the move Beat Up. It is imperative that Beat Up is in the 3rd move slot. If not, then you will not get the Pokemon that you want. This is the trickiest part, the glitch within the glitch. The famous cloning glitch of Gold, Silver, and Crystal. It's the same concept as the glitch in Gen 1 where you reset the game as it saves in between switching boxes, except the timing is incredibly easy. If you did it right, you'll end up with a Sneasel in your party with one still being in the PC. Clones. Make sure you have 4 clones in all. Your party should look like this. Now time for the ridiculously fuck you hard part. You have to make a bad clone. Now, you would think that making a bad clone would be easier than making a good clone. It's not. In all Gen 2 games, if you don't have a Pokemon Stadium 2 emulator for cloning, good fucking luck, because you have to be a millisecond precise. I did do it, but I wasn't recording. I was doing a dry run, so I'm going to use an expert artist's rendition of the following events. So if you successfully made a bad clone, it should look something like this. The Sneasel should be level 0 and a bunch of question marks surrounding it. Make a note, if the Pokemon is not level 0, then it is not a bad clone. Try again. So withdraw the bad clone and give it to the old couple for raising. Then get the bad clone back. Don't take a step or anything, it should be viewed as a garbage sprite on the overworld screen now. It should look something like this, I guess. Now, move the clone to the top of the party. The game doesn't read the bad clone when it's on top, and as a result, it reads as you not even having any Pokemon. Now you want to insert a Pokemon to the front of the party. Make sure you use something you don't care for because the data for this Pokemon will be wiped from existence. This is kind of what it will look like, just stick the Pokemon in there. Now you should have 7 Pokemon in your party. Wacky! Now go back to the daycare people and give them your bad clone again. While it's with them, deposit the Pokemon that will be erased as well as the 4 Sneasel clones in your PC box. Some Sneasel may have mail attached to them for some reason. You're gonna have to get it off them because you can't deposit Pokemon holding mail in your party. As you deposit the Sneasel, you'll notice the first letter of their nickname will disappear until they are simply Celebi. Stop depositing here and take back the bad clone from your daycare. It should have grown by 99 levels and will cost nothing to get back. This also changes the levels of your Sneasel. One might end up being level 146. Give these Sneasels to the daycare people and then take them back immediately. If done right, the Sneasel will turn into their respective Pokemon depending on their third move. Some clones might have a screwed up moveset with beat up not being the third move, but there will always be one that isn't screwed up, and doing so gets you a Celebi. So, why does this work? Well, the move Beat Up has the same hex value as Celebi, FB, and apparently having it as the third move while doing this glitch transforms the original Pokemon in accordance to the hex value of its third move. That's the gist of it. By the way, make sure you delete any glitch Pokemon that have occurred from the trick, as they can mess up your game a bit. Good fucking luck doing this though. I have no idea how this shit was discovered. I mean, if it's impossible to do on an emulator, how do you figure this out? Do you just fuck around with the game saves until it goes, hey, well, I found something? It's so fucking ridiculous. I swear one day I'm going to fuck... What? Oh, I got the Earth badge. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Guess I'll just walk out and go to the Elite Four, I guess. Later, Gym leader, you seem like a decent guy. Here's an extra. Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal does in fact have a Safari Zone area in its coding. You can see traces of it in-game in Fuchsia City, where the Safari Zone entrance building is there, but it has no entrance. From what I read, the Glitch City in Gen 1 had something to do with it, and either Game Freak didn't know how to fix it at the time, or didn't have the time to code it in.